Thank you. It's a pleasure to have been asked to do the speech at this wonderful luncheon here in Miami Beach, celebrating the 100th anniversary of the founding of this great city. Before I moved to Asheville, North Carolina, I used to live here in Miami Beach. I saw the name Carl Fisher a lot as the founder of Miami Beach, and I didn't know too much about him until I did the research for this speech, and I found out what a diverse and interesting man he was. Carl Fisher was born in 1874 in Indiana. His father was an alcoholic and left their family. Carl, as a boy, went out to work to support the family, and by age 17, he had his first business that he owned and was running. It was a bicycle repair shop. He loved to race bicycles too, and he used bicycle racing and stunts with bicycles as promotions for his business. His most famous promotion was to take a bicycle and to throw it off the highest building in Indianapolis, let it hit, and then come and repair it. This also involved the police. As much as he loved bicycle racing, he took to auto racing. And he took his stunts even further. He got wrecked many times, injured himself a lot, and became a big proponent for automobile safety. And because he was kind of in this group, a guy who had a patent for a brand new type of headlight came to him and said, "Listen, I think we could make some money. Your ingenuity and my patent, we can sell these headlamps." And they sold that headlamp idea to every single manufacturer of cars in the early 1900s that came out with their headlights. They made millions. They sold out to Union Carbide. He loved cars so much he wanted to sell cars. He opened the first automobile dealership in the United States, which was in Indianapolis, called the Fisher Automobile Company. His stunts for this was to put a car under a hot air balloon and ride it over downtown Indianapolis. And he also threw a car off the highest building in Indianapolis. He walked up and started the car and drove it away to show its durability. As daring as he was in his business life, he was like that in his personal life too. He was marrying one woman while he was engaged to another lady. The engaged lady, needless to say, was a little miffed, and she sued him for breach of promise, and that was a big scandal in the Midwest at that time. Now he moves into a 12-bedroom mansion with his new wife. He's 39 years old, a multimillionaire. Was this the end of his career? No. He was still interested in cars. He started the Indianapolis 500 race. That was his idea, and it runs to this day. He also had a huge idea. He thought we could sell more cars and auto parts if we had better roads, because at that point there was no road that went from the East Coast to the West Coast. There was no continuous road that went from the north to the south. He got together private investors, Thomas Edison, Woodrow Wilson, Teddy Roosevelt, himself, and automobile manufacturers and suppliers. Private money built the Lincoln Highway, not the federal government and state governments. They built one road that went from New York to San Francisco. They said, now somebody can drive a car all the way across. Then he went from Michigan to South Florida with the Dixie Highway. Ah, South Florida, finally we get there. Because we're talking about Miami Beach. He's going down the Dixie Highway, he ends up at Miami Beach. He says, you know what, this is a great place for development. I've never been a real estate developer, but I bet you I could do it here. He sees an island between the ocean and the mainland, all covered with swamp, bugs, mangroves. He says, I want that. Miami Beach is what it was. He cleared it, he built some hotels, he started to sell land. He also dredged Biscayne Bay and created the Venetian Islands with that sand that he was bringing up out of the bay. And the Venetian Islands have some of the most important and expensive real estate in Miami. Now he's selling property. He's getting his friends to come down. He's saying, this is a fabulous place. Invest in it. Party. Let's go. real estate bust. Unfortunately, Florida busted just like it did a couple years ago. This was one of the first ones. The hurricane comes along, 1926. That was a very, very big hurricane in South Florida history. It blew down everything that had already been built. And the final death blow to his wealth and his stature in the United States as a industrialist was the stock market crash of 1929. His wife by this time had left him. And not because he had lost his money, but because she was begging him, "Slow down, Carl. Spend more time with me. You're killing yourself." And he said to her, "I don't have time to take time." So now he's alone. He's living in a small cottage in Miami Beach. He's an alcoholic, like his dad was. His friends still liked him. He was a fun guy. They gave him a few odd jobs, and he lived like that for the next 10 years until he died of alcoholism in 1939. What did he leave us? He left us the Indianapolis 500. He left us with the vision that the automobile is an essential part of the United States way of life. And he left us with the fact that Miami Beach did indeed become a huge tourist area and has billions of dollars worth of property right now. To quote his ex-wife, Jane Fisher, who still loved him, "Carl was all speed. I don't think the money even interested him. He just liked to see the dirt fly." Madam Toastmaster.